Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. The Brian Craig Show podcast is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. It will never sell you a roof you do not need. All right. All kinds of craziness is going on. President Trump did an interview today, and he dropped something huge. And in so many ways, this is equal to, maybe even bigger than the release of the JFK files, because this is more current with a lot of people that are still alive involved in it. He is open to releasing the Epstein client list in his second term. I'll play you the clip in just a minute, but I that's crazy because some very powerful people are on that list, and I imagine there's a lot of people on that list that we don't even know about. And it seems to me that President Trump was shot. He survived this assassination attempt, and he's like, I'm just, he feels like, invincible.
Screw it.
Yeah, he's
yeah. I don't know if it's invincible or if he feels like these people tried to kill me, so F them is kind of an attitude. You know what I mean? Like I'm not holding back anymore. I mean, and I don't blame him. I'm sure, rightfully so, he's pissed.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And
getting shot will do that when
getting shot at will do that in front of 50,000 people. So I think a lot of it is about that too.
Yeah, and I don't know anyone who does not think that the deep state shot Trump. Everybody thinks that, and he knows it. So we think he knows because he's got better sources than
I'm sure Robert
people.
Kennedy basically told him. I mean,
So let me play this clip. This is President Trump on this interview today talking about it.
But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you were able to, you would be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. They do that for danger, too, because, endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But, yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
Oh, my God. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are freaking out right now over that. It's not just
some come to mind, which I won't say that I can think of off the top of my head.
It's not just the people we know about; it's the ones we don't know about.
Yeah,
and a lot of powerful people are not famous. We don't know all the powerful people, and maybe the most powerful we don't know because they work behind the scenes.
Well, it also not only shows who went, but frequency.
Yeah,
how often they went, and. Who else knows what other can of worms that can open up? I'm surprised more girls haven't come forward, to be honest with you. You had the one who went against Prince Andrew, and she also accused Dershowitz. I think it was the same woman, and then she redacted that because he was going to sue her.
Kathy, it's not just the listed names. It's what can of worms that opens up, right? What were they doing there? Who was there with them? And what was happening? And who knows what kind of details will come out? And, it's very possible that President Trump said that because he kind of volunteered it about releasing it.
Epstein was in that Palm Beach world, had been to Mar-a-Lago.
Trump kicked him out.
Right. But I'm sure Trump heard rumors.
As soon as he heard rumors, he kicked him out.
He might have people that he knows that have definitely gone that he's heard.
Well, what I mean is,
his wife might know.
What Trump may be doing here is kind of a negotiating little chip there for getting things done in his second term. Like,
maybe.
A lot of these evil people that have worked so hard against him, he may be holding that over their head. He probably knows who's on it because he's already had one term as president. He may have seen it. And he may be thinking, okay, I can use this to keep these people off my back and make America great again. So your thoughts on that? I mean, that's some exciting stuff.
Do you guys care what's on that? Who's on that list?
Of course, everybody wants to know.
I'm just asking people in the audience if that's something is it at the top of their list that they want to know about.
I want the Kennedy files first myself. But,
okay, so we can do a poll. Which would you rather see released first? Me personally, it's the Kennedy files as well, because you and I, even though we weren't alive when Kennedy was killed, but it didn't happen that long before we were born. And, I remember hearing about it a lot in the 70s and the 80s. John was still alive, and the Kennedy and Ted Kennedy was still around. So the Kennedys were very prominent in politics.
Well, it's not just that, Kathy.
Back then, it was always being talked about, and
it's the same people that killed Kennedy are the ones that have been after Trump all these years.
Right.
So part of making America great again is releasing the Epstein files and the Kennedy files. That's a part of it. Now, there was a big arrest today. We'll go through the details of this with a Chinese spy in Hochul's office, the governor of New York. And there's a video of her on X that I want to share with you, and I'll let me just play it. This is the CCP spy. Her name is Linda Sun, S-U-N, Linda Sun. She's Asian American, and this is a video she made before her arrest. Okay, that she put, and what she's talking about is pretty interesting. Listen.
When people say diversity and inclusion, I think everybody agrees, or most people generally agree that it's a good thing, right? But I think right now we also need to bring in the word equity, right? Diversity is when you say that there's, many different types of people with different backgrounds, and they're all, invited to the table. Inclusion is when, we include all of their ideas. But equity is when we make sure that all of the people who are at the table have equal access to making sure that their ideas and their thoughts are heard. And unfortunately, I think some of the statistics that you quoted is that we don't have that much leadership.
Okay. Now that's the Chinese spy arrested from Governor Hochul's office. And the reason I shared that, I've been telling you guys for a long time that TikTok, all this gender stuff, this division that's going on, that's being done, this equity, the anti-racism and all of that, which is what she's talking about. She's talking about equity, which is like, okay. That the CCP have been behind this, that it's been a Chinese propaganda Cold War plot that's been very successful against the United States to divide our entire population on these issues. And they've had a lot of success with it, right? They've lowered our birth rate with all the gender stuff. They've caused incredible amounts of division between ethnicities and sexualities and everything. And what she's talking about, this Chinese spy that they arrested today, what she's talking about is what TikTok's all about. It's a big division thing. Now, she was the deputy chief of staff, and the very detailed story in the Daily Mail. Let me go through this. The FBI has arrested the former deputy chief of staff to New York governor, Democrat, Kathy Hochul. The entire Democrat Party is infiltrated by the CCP. I mean, how many of them have we heard? So. The FBI has arrested the former deputy chief of staff of New York governor, Kathy Hochul, and her husband following a raid at their home. Linda's son, that's what I just, that's who you just heard from, and her husband, Chris Hu, H-U, were taken into custody on Long Island after their $4.1 million 5-bedroom mansion was searched in July by the feds. She's accused of enriching herself and her family by acting as an undisclosed agent of the Chinese Communist Party, federal prosecutors revealed in the indictment. She is charged with blocking representatives of Taiwan's government from having access to high-level New York state officers, changing messaging on issues that involve the CCP as well. She used the proceeds of her illegal work, which is spy work, to buy a home in Long Island, the one where she was raided at, a $2.1 million condo in Hawaii, and luxury vehicles, including a 2024 Ferrari. Well, they weren't very smart. They were just spending the money like crazy. Sun and her husband are also charged with laundering the proceeds of their illegal activities. She's charged with conspiracy to commit bank fraud and a bunch of other very technical things. She's bond was set at $1.5 million, and her husband's at $500,000. Well, they probably got enough money to get out and flee to China.
Probably. And I'm sure that's probably on purpose.
Yeah, because she probably knows a whole some a network of others. A 63-page indictment says that she repeatedly violated internal rules and protocols of the New York governor's office to provide improper benefits to China and the CCP. And it goes into all kinds of things about how she was paid off and things like this. But mainly what she was doing was she was even changing press releases and such to make them more favorable to China and their agenda.
Yeah.
China has almost conquered the United States, the CCP. And what they've done is the most brilliant takeover of a country ever. They did it without a military action, without an invasion, without bombs. They just started bribing officials. And, this is a interesting thing. This is a kind of a low-level official in a way because working for a governor. This isn't even like in Washington. You got to wonder how many others are there?
Well, I'd like to know when she started working for her. Was she with Cuomo? Was it after COVID? If she's there and she
worked for she did work for she how
long has she been working in the governor's office?
That's all here. I just didn't get to it, but you asked good questions. She worked for the state government of New York for almost 15 years.
Wow.
She started in 2009 as the chief of staff for the New York State Assembly member Greg Ming, M-E-N-G, who's in Congress now. They
need to look into him.
She then had jobs with Governor Andrew Cuomo starting in 2012, including Global New York Trade Manager, Asian Outreach Director for the Office of the Governor and Queens Regional Representatives. In 2018, Governor Cuomo named her the Chief Diversity Officer. In September 2021, she was appointed as the Deputy Chief of Staff for Hochul, and she had that job for 15 months.
See, I think the Chinese have successfully tapped into this white man's guilt.
Yes.
And
exactly.
They are using it and the word equity and equal to really destroy the fabric of our culture and to change the mindset of the country. And, so she was talking about everybody at the table. They love to say that has an equal this. Well, not everybody at the table is equal. In God's eyes, we're all equal. But if you're in a company, not everybody at the table is equal.
No.
Okay, so the guy who gets the coffee should make decisions and argue with the president or the CEO. There is a hierarchy for a reason. But they're tapping into this whole woke white guilt thing, and the liberal women have really attached themselves to this. They're so stupid. The childless cat ladies, I guess. And but they're not all like that, But anyway, I do know some women that aren't married that are Republican. But they've tapped into that white guilt, like I said, and they're using it to influence policy, DEI, to make America weaker. Look at our military. Look at what's happening. They're influencing policy. And why do you think they're doing all this? Because they want to weaken the country. They want to weaken the country on all aspects. And you're right, TikTok they use to get things trending. Because young people follow trends more than older people. They're followers. A lot of them are in high school or out of high school, and they're just starting to vote. And they don't pay attention to the issues or what, but if it's trending, and they hear Kamala Harris say, we're all equal, we all this, well, that's communism. They're really trying to get people used to the idea of a more communistic mindset. And they know that will destroy this country. And they just want to make us weaker.
Yeah, and this woman has worked at all levels of the state government in New York.
Yes, she has.
And you got to wonder how many members of the bureaucracy are like her that are on the take. Now, I find it interesting that she and her husband are both Asian. So I don't know what kind of connections they had that led to this. Is it just a coincidence? I don't know what that is, but.
Well, we'll never know because no journalist looks into this stuff.
They do very surface stuff.
And a journalist should say, okay, I'm going to do a deep dive here and I'm going to find out when she was hired, who she's worked for. I mean, they give you the list there, but did she have any influence on policy at all? And her husband, does he have anything? And look at her social media. What are like you just played one thing. What are the things she's saying? They're big on equality, equity. Kamala Harris loves that word too. In my book, using that word is akin to communism. Everybody's the same. We're all the same. Unless you're, Jeff Bezos and you're in the club, then you're like Michelle Obama. You have $1 million homes, but then she goes on TV and says that her parents didn't trust people with money. Okay. I mean, they don't even see the hypocrisy.
And you know what?
This is what they're trying to do.
It's got to pain, because this came from the Justice Department, right? The Biden Justice Department. It's got to pain this Justice Department to arrest Chinese spies.
Well, why do you think that
they're all in
this?
The reason I think they did it.
Why do you think?
Is because, we know Biden's on the take with China, right? Yeah. They were too flashy. Right? They bought the condo in Hawaii.
And maybe they gave them a warning.
They bought the mansion in Long Island. They bought
the Menendez
brothers.
They
bought a new Ferrari. They were just too flashy and working for the government. So they probably had to move in. People are starting to notice.
And they probably warned them and told them not to spend the money, and they were doing it. And
then I think
you're right on that. Yeah, because there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people just like her in the government. And
these staffers. These staffers have tremendous amounts of influence. They run these government offices. The elected officials, for the most part, especially the Democrats, are just spokesmodels. They don't, you know what I mean?
And
everything is run by the bureaucrats.
She changed speeches and changed wordings and all this stuff.
That's right.
I want to talk about, so on MSNBC, that guy that rides his bike to work, I can't remember his name, Chris something, he said all Trump needs is Pennsylvania, Georgia, and he named one other state to win, and he's won it. And he is really campaigning hard in Pennsylvania, very, very hard in Pennsylvania. So I think he will win that.
He's got a town hall with Hannity there this week.
That's right. I think it all comes down to Pennsylvania. I really do. I think that he, in the last election, if he had won Pennsylvania or Georgia, he would have taken it home. Those have huge electoral votes counts because they're very populated states.
Yeah.
And that's really, he's focusing on, to me, Pennsylvania mainly and then Georgia.
Well,
those two.
Pennsylvania owes it to Trump to really turn out for him. I mean, a Pennsylvanian shot President Trump.
Yeah.
Killed a MAGA guy and shot.
Well, let's
a couple
not blame
others.
Pennsylvania for that.
Well, one of their own, shot, was a Pennsylvania guy. So that, if you're in Pennsylvania, I think you owe it to really turn out for Trump.
Well,
now,
Nate Silver said Trump has a 57% chance of winning Pennsylvania. And it seems like Brian Kemp is buddying up to Trump. And I've told you my theory on that is because he wants to run for president in 2028. And he needs Trump's, he needs his endorsement or he's not going to win. He's dead in the water. And he knows it. So now all of a sudden he's Trump's best friend. Fine, we'll take it. I don't care.
Now,
just do the right thing.
Now, here in Florida, it is rainy season. It is hurricane season. It rains every day. We had a lot of rains over the weekend, a lot of rain today. Yes. If you're in Florida and you have a leak in your roof or you need a roof replacement, either in your home, your condo, your apartment building, your commercial property, your municipal property, you want to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. He's a good MAGA guy. He does incredible work. Because he's not just a roofer, he's also a contractor. Florida law allows Tom Laporta to deal directly with your insurance company, whether it's residential or commercial, for the cost of the repair or the replacement of your roof. It speeds things up a lot, and it cuts out a middleman. A lot of times, your insurance company, they don't want to pay, or they want to pay you not enough. Okay, and we had to do this, Kathy and I, years ago, before we knew Tom Laporta. We had to hire a public adjuster to get the money to get our roof taken care of because our insurance company just wouldn't give us enough money. And they got us a settlement a year later, and then we had to give them 20% of it. So we still had to come up with 20% of the cost of the roof replacement. With Tom Laporta dealing directly with your insurance company, you don't have that worry, right? It speeds things up, and you don't have to come up with that 20% that you have to pay an adjuster. Sometimes people have to hire attorneys. There's attorneys whose entire practices are based around helping property owners get paid by their insurance company.
It seems like all you got to do is call Tom, say, I need your help, and boom, that's it.
No, he does amazing things.
It's a huge staff, and they handle it all for you. They're amazing people. I know you've met a lot of them and talked about how wonderful they are, and they really work very hard to make it seamless for you and to fix whatever problems you have. And like you've always said, they won't give you a roof you do not need, which is so, so important down here. I can't tell you how many roofers are down here in South Florida because of the hurricanes. And finding an honest one is not easy. So Brian knows him personally.
And Tom Laporta is the only one who says that he will never sell you a roof you do not need.
And you've known him for a long time. He's an honest guy.
If you need just a simple repair, Tom Laporta will do it. And he also gives out his cell phone number, which is amazing. So I'm going to give you his number. This is Tom Laporta's cell phone number. You can call or text him. I recommend you call, but you can text 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. That's 954-604-4602. Make sure you tell him that Kathy and I told you about him. All right, we're going to take our first break. There's a lot more to get into. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
Lily escaped from a place that's left deep scars, but also gave her the strength to reclaim her voice. Now, she's sharing her powerful story on her YouTube channel, Lily's Escape from Hephzibah. On her YouTube channel, Lily talks openly about abuse, control, and trauma that she and others have endured, bravely revealing the pain she suffered and her ongoing process of recovery. Sharing these stories isn't just looking back, it's about Lily breaking the silence, connecting with others, and ensuring that no one else has to go through the same nightmare. She also covers modern-day cults as well as survival, making this a powerful human interest channel. Lily's not only speaking out, but provides updates on her upcoming book, which gets even deeper into her experiences. Subscribe to her YouTube channel right now, Lily's Escape from Hephzibah, and be a part of a community that refuses to stay silent and start the journey of healing and hope. Are you a business owner, large or small? Or do you work from home? Then listen up. Universal Shop Limited is your home for all the business tools you need for your company's success. Universal Shop Limited provide essential tools for all businesses. From eye-catching marketing templates to efficient organizational tools, they have everything you're looking for your company. Check out their best-selling Small Business Organizer, the ultimate planner for startup owners, with sections for goal setting, financial planning, and day-to-day operations. Their virtual shelves are filled with digital tools that are meticulously crafted to empower you and your business. Their inventory includes product inventory trackers, printable cash receipts, monthly bill trackers, and so much more. Whether you need a work-from-home planner or a digital food inventory tracker, Universal Shop Limited has what you're searching for. Visit the Etsy shop right now, online at universalshoplimited.etsy.com, and elevate your business to new heights. Universal Shop Limited.etsy.com, empowering your business with the tools for success. Find everything your business needs right now at universalshoplimited.etsy.com. Have you ever dreamed of ditching your 9-to-5 job and hitting the open road? Isaac and Kim did just that, and they share everything they learned on the way on their podcast, Full Time to Travel Time, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. In Full Time to Travel Time, Isaac and Kim take you on their wild road tripping adventures across the United States. After 6 years of nonstop travel, these seasoned explorers have visited 40 out of the 63 national parks, all while building a successful business that now mostly runs without them. They went from full-time workaholics to full-time adventurers, and they're here to share how you can do it too. Full Time to Travel Time is on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Tune in and hear Isaac and Kim's fun stories, expert tips, and inspiring journeys from the daily grind to the great outdoors. Whether you're a weekend traveler or dream of a life on the road, Full Time to Travel Time is the podcast for you. Start listening right now on Spotify and Apple Podcast, because life's too short to stay in one place.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. I wanted to play the segment from MSNBC. It's Kornacki who went over the poll.
Yes.
That we were talking about. The guy you were talking about that rides the bike, supposedly, that's Chris, I think, Hayes.
Yes.
Not Kornacki. Kornacki.
Yeah. The guy who looks like he's never seen the sun.
Yeah. Kornacki is the guy that does the polls, and he kind of dresses like he works at Blockbuster. You know what I mean? And he always has his sleeves rolled up, because it makes it look like he's working hard.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, they kind of look alike to me. I don't know. They look. I kind of get them confused.
All white guys look alike to Kathy.
I guess so.
Yeah. Do I look like him? I hope not.
No.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy. But anyway, this is him going over the polls. He says that Trump only needs to win Georgia, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina to win the presidency. Okay. And I got to tell you, Kamala Harris, this Labor Day weekend,
yeah, that's right, North Carolina,
was just brutal for her. You know, the Gold Star families coming out very specifically, not just for Trump, but against her, calling her a murderer.
And her fun accent.
Oh,
with the union workers. My God.
That was, thank a union member.
That should insult.
What kind of accent was that? Thank a union member.
You know she doesn't talk like that.
No, she grew up in Canada.
She doesn't talk like that at all. And, you know, but Hillary Clinton's done the same thing. I don't know what it is with liberals when they get in front of black people. They have to start talking like Jesse Jackson.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's strange. And all this stuff.
It's insulting, too.
All these things with Tim Walz over the weekend, the men who served with him in the Army said he's a coward.
Oh, that Megyn Kelly interview is today, isn't it? She interviewed 4 guys.
It was over the weekend. It was yesterday.
Okay, so we have to watch that. That should be on her YouTube.
I played the highlights of that this morning.
Oh, and what'd they say?
They said terrible things. And Megyn Kelly, though, did not have the guys mic'd up properly.
Yes, the audio was bad.
I cannot believe that she must have been really ticked off when that was over and she saw that. She's gotta be ticked off.
I mean, that's very shocking because it makes her look because she's a professional broadcaster. And I know when you do stuff, people see you in the morning. Like the audio is the most important thing. You know, I mean, when you're in broadcasting, visuals are important too, but you got to have that audio right. And it's not always easy.
And she just...
But what was wrong with her audio? What did they do wrong?
To me, it sounded like either they didn't have mics or their mics were off. It's like they were getting picked up. They were getting picked up by her microphone.
That's right. That's what it sounded like to me.
Not their own microphones.
Right.
So either one of a couple things happened. Could be sabotage. But when they did the interview, even they didn't have enough mics, so she was the only one with a mic, or someone forgot to turn their mics on. Something happened. It's really unfortunate. The interview's very good.
Don't they do a test? Like, don't they do a mic check?
You would think
before. Like, that's usually what you do, right? I mean, you worked in radio where you'd have a room full of people talking. Used to work at a radio station, FTL, where you'd have like 3 or 4 people.
I did this today. No, I had somebody in studio.
Or something today. Is that the first thing you do is do a mic check?
If you watch my live stream on YouTube today when I was on the radio this morning, for those of you who don't know, I host a morning radio show. We had somebody come in studio, right?
Right.
And before they got there, they were on their way. I had Mike, our board app, come in and do a mic check on their mic before they got there.
So somebody didn't do their job.
And if you go back to that stream, you'll even hear me do test. This was during a commercial break, making sure everything was working before they got there.
It's too bad.
I don't know how this happened. This is
such an important thing.
It's such a big interview. It's hard for me to believe that this just happened by incompetence, but you never know. You know, she very well may have a small team of people, and she's probably not a tech person. She's just a personality. So she doesn't look at these things. I do both.
I'm sure some heads rolled because
I'm sure
Megyn Kelly is no shrinking violet.
Yeah, I mean the interview is spectacular, but it's hard to hear them because they don't have mics. All right. Anyway, back to this. So this is Kornacki on MSNBC going over the latest polls.
Yeah, well, here's the national average. What we got here is all of the recent major polls nationally. And what is the sort of composite when you average them together? Harris with a 3-point advantage nationally over Donald Trump. Now, if you're a Democrat, the good news, besides the fact that you're ahead, is that's an improvement for Democrats from where things were before Harris became the candidate. Joe Biden almost all year was trailing Donald Trump, so that's changed Harris ahead by a few points there. Now, if you're a Republican, what you can take solace from here is this is not unfamiliar territory for Donald Trump. Take a look here at the last two elections, 2020, 2016. The polling at this point, coming out of Labor Day, beginning the fall rush. In 2016, Hillary Clinton led on average by 5 points. Of course, Donald Trump won in 2016. And Joe Biden had an even bigger lead on average Labor Day 2020. Donald Trump didn't win that election, but certainly in the Electoral College, he came this close to doing so, Anna. So Trump has run from behind before, certainly.
And what kind of Electoral College paths are there then?
Yeah, so let's take a look. Pardon me. I love the Road to 270 map, and now we get to use it pretty much every day between now and the election. 7 key battleground states. They are in gray here. 6 of these 7 states already went for Joe Biden in 2020. Democrats are trying to hold on to those. The 7th is North Carolina. That went for Trump in 20. That's the state where Republicans are playing defense on this list. Now, if you take a look at the paths, the easiest path for each candidate, we'll start with Kamala Harris. All of the state polling is very tight, but the best polling, relatively speaking, for Harris and the Democrats has been in, we talk about them all the time, these Great Lake states, Big Ten states, whatever you want to call them, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Now, if Harris could win those 3 states, just for the sake of argument, turn them blue there, exactly 270 electoral votes for her. Now, if she slips up, Pennsylvania in particular is one Republicans of these 3 think they have a good shot at here. Let's say she were to slip up, Harris did, and lost Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is the biggest of all the swing states, 19 electoral votes. Harris would have to compensate by winning at least 2 from the Sun Belt here. And for Trump's easiest path quickly here, it's to get Pennsylvania, it's to hold North Carolina like he did in 20, and it's to win back Georgia, which he very narrowly lost. That would get him to exactly the magic number.
Okay, it's going to be a sprint of the next.
Now we'll talk about this a little bit because MSNBC here. Okay, the national polls are meaningless because of the Electoral College. You just got to go to the battleground states. Okay,
yeah,
and they,
like those are the main 3.
Yeah, the television news. What they like to do is do the this horse race thing. They always want it to be close to keep you on the edge of your seat and watching, because if it's not close, you're not going to watch, they think. It's the way of thinking. Plus, they're liberal and leaning towards her.
Right.
So the thing about these polls, I don't believe them. Okay, there has been nothing but negative news each and every day, multiple times a day for Kamala Harris. Okay? Whether it's the Venezuelan gang takeover in Aurora, the new one that happened last night in Chicago, story after story every day of illegals killing and attacking and committing violent crimes. There's another story where an illegal stabbed a 14-year-old girl who was just watching her brother's baseball game.
In fact, that guy, I read, Trump deported.
That's right.
And he came back in through Biden.
Correct. All these stories with walls.
I mean, it's incredible.
There's been, on top of the economy, the inflation, right? So there's been nothing but negative story after negative story. The Gold Star family thing that they backfired on Kamala. So the idea that she's gotten any kind of bounce is absurd, because even with the mainstream media covering for her, it's been nonstop scandalous story after scandalous story dropping every day, multiple times a day, for both her and Walz. And usually the guy running for vice president doesn't have too many stories coming out about them. They're usually kind of just like in the back. Everyone that John Edwards did impregnate a campaign worker when he was running with John Kerry. That was a big deal, right? But that was 20 years ago.
The Inquirer, they
chased him into a bathroom.
On him, they were going to make that story public, no doubt. They were on him for a long time.
The National Enquirer confronted him in a hotel. John Edwards was running for vice president. He ran down the stairwell into a men's room and was hiding in a toilet stall.
What was he thinking running? He knew this had happened. He knew he had a child out of wedlock. He knew his wife was like dying of cancer or something. He had left his wife, right? She had cancer and had an affair and impregnated this woman. Kind of like Kamala Harris's husband impregnated the
I don't
nanny.
know if he left the wife. I'm not sure about that.
She died though, but I think she had cancer. But anyway, why would he? Do these people think they're that invincible, or do they think because they're liberals, the media will leave them alone? They should know after Bill Clinton that does not matter.
Yeah.
A juicy story is a juicy story. These people have no soul. all they care about is getting clicks and views and advancing their own career. I mean, they really don't have integrity at all.
Yeah.
I mean, the media, they just don't. And so I don't know why he thought he could run. Same with Tim Walz. I think Tim Walz lives in his own world, and he is a pathological liar. He believes his own lies. And I knew a girl once in high school that was a pathological liar. You knew somebody you worked with. They believe their own BS. They really do. And that's what he is doing. And you can even confront him, like when Dana Bash asked him about it. Oh, I'm bad grammar. Okay. I didn't know lying was a part of bad grammar. I took grammar in 9th grade and all through school. I never learned that pathological lying was considered
that was
bad
another
grammar.
one of his lies.
Yeah, I mean, well, I wonder who gave him. I think that excuse his wife gave him. Somebody gave him that excuse. He didn't think of that on the fly because he was prepared for that question. I'd love to know who gave him that one. I bet it was his wife. It's just something a wife would say, like a stupid wife.
Well, Tim Walz,
what is he thinking running? Why doesn't he understand this is going to come out?
Like that woman with Hochul, he's a Chinese spy, just like her.
No doubt about it.
You know, the only thing with Walz, he's a true believer. He does not have any assets. People have looked into this. He does not own anything. He has no money stashed away that anybody knows about.
Not yet.
Yeah, well, I think he's a true believer.
That'll come after he gets elected.
He's a true believing Marxist, true believing communist, and
for now,
all the good communists like a good lifestyle, but he's another Chinese spy. So the idea that she's even competitive, Kamala Harris, with all these stories that have come out about both her and Tim Walz, like look at this thing yesterday with her pretending to talk on the phone so she can avoid questions.
Tell us if you work, like, you know, if people are in your family, are there people in your family or at your job that have changed their mind, that are like, you know what, I just can't with Harris, like they're just not going to vote for her, or they're decided to vote for Trump? I have a poll also on your YouTube page about that. Or are there people that are just so emotionally invested in the Democratic Party that they'll vote for anybody as long as they have a D? I mean, there's a lot of people. You have Jews. I just saw a clip on Twitter of a guy who's in New York, and he said, if you're Jewish and you vote for Harris, he said, that's insane. He said, that's complete. And he's a Jewish guy. There are Jews that are for Gaza. I mean, there's gays that are for, gays for Muslims or something. Muslims don't believe in gay lifestyle at all. It's against their religion. And you go to some of these countries, you go to jail or worse for it. So they're not gay friendly.
No.
I don't understand this thinking.
It's craziness.
It's stupidity.
Yeah.
But if you tell them to their face, or you even show them an example, they just don't want to believe it. They really believe what they want to believe. It's incredible to me.
Yeah, no, it's insane. It's insane. Now, this thing about Kamala's weird accent came up today with Ducey in the White House press briefing with Jean-Pierre today. Let's play some of this.
Since when does the vice president have what sounds like a Southern accent?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
I mean, this is...
She was talking about unions in Detroit using one tone of voice.
Is this something that
same line?
Okay, Peter.
That she used the same line in Pittsburgh, and it sounded like she at least had some kind of a Southern drawl.
I mean, do you hear the question that you're... I mean, do you think Americans seriously think that this is an important question? They care... You know what they care about? They care about the economy. They care about lowering costs. They care about health care. That's what Americans care about.
So
that's what they want to hear.
This is something.
They care about. Your colleague just asked me about what basically we talked about, went back and forth about democracy and freedom. That's what they care about. I'm not even going to entertain some question about the president. It's just hearing it sounds so ridiculous.
Well, but hearing it is.
The question I'm talking about, the question is just insane.
Is that how she talks in meetings?
I'm just Peter. We're moving on. We're so moving on. Go ahead, Anita.
Yeah, I mean everybody heard
She's got a thing for Peter Ducey. I don't care if she's gay or not. She flirts with him, but
that was flirting.
No, but I've seen her flirt with him before.
Oh, okay.
They have a thing. I'm not, and I don't think it's mutual. I think she's just got a thing for him, but it does matter because she's pandering to blacks. And that's what that's all about. Hillary Clinton did it too with the accent and the hot sauce. It's insulting. It's pandering. And he should have said that to her. But Jean-Pierre, whatever her name is, she lies more than Tim Walz. I mean, if there was a competition for the person who spewed out the most lies per day, I think it would be her. Everything she says is complete nonsense and complete BS. Honestly, I've never seen a press secretary. Remember when Kayleigh McEnany took the job and the first thing they said to her, "Are you going to lie to us?"
Yeah.
You know, as if they're so freaking honest.
I don't remember when
and she's like, "No, of course not," and she never did.
The one reporter wanted Sarah Huckabee to prove that she could make a pie for Thanksgiving. Remember that?
She couldn't believe that I mean, it's so insane. And Joy Behar today said that Trump supporting the government paying for IVF, that's socialism, and that's bad.
Yeah.
Isn't that the whole I agree. I don't agree with it, but isn't that the whole Democratic platform for healthcare?
Now this
what is she talking about?
Now this is the clip that you were mentioning. The guy who said if you're Jewish and you vote, for Kamala. This is the clip. Listen.
Kamala is the one who said she sympathizes with the human emotion of these protesters. What are you sympathizing with? Terrorism? Joe Biden, I mean, where is he? Has he made a speech about anything? I mean, an American just got shot on the head. Where is everyone? Where's the accountability? I just don't get it anymore. And you know what? I might be going off the lamb here. If you're Jewish and you vote for Democrats, you're crazy. I'm sorry. You're insane.
Yeah.
So he's got that right.
The Hamas terrorists killed 6 Jews. One of them was an American citizen. This goes back to what I was talking about with this so-called Kamala bounce after this interview on CNN. The interview was a disaster on CNN. An American was killed by terrorists over the weekend. U.S. service personnel in Turkey were abducted and had bags put over their heads. You guys have seen that.
I saw that. That was scary.
So and people are financially suffering in this country, and the mainstream media continue to push this narrative that Kamala is getting a bounce in the polls. That makes no sense.
No, that's a lie. And the problem is, if you're on X, you literally see what's happening around the world in real time, and then the media goes on and has to address these things because they go viral and they tell you. What you see is not what you see. They gaslight you.
That's exactly right.
You.
That's exactly right.
Like her with the accent. She just gaslit everybody. She's good at that. Well, not really, but that's what she did. I don't know what you're talking about. But of course she knows what he's talking about. I mean, you know what I mean? She knows exactly what he's talking about. But she's a coward and she's afraid to address it or talk about it. And she goes into this whole diatribe of the American people. Really, they care about the economy? Well, why? I thought the economy was great.
Exactly.
So why do we care about the economy? Is she admitting that it sucks? I mean, you went to the store and did a short and bacon's $12 a pack.
I couldn't believe it.
I cannot tell you the last time you and I have had bacon. Honestly, and Kamala's given up extra servings, according to her stupid interview.
The thing about the bacon...
You don't even buy it anymore.
The thing about the bacon prices, they're out of control. And I like the bacon when it's almost burned. So when you take a pack of bacon and you make it like that, it doesn't look like much, right? It's like a couple little tiny pieces. I can't get myself to buy it. I love bacon.
We used to be able to buy a steak for what bacon costs now. And... we were looking because you wanted a steak the other day.
Oh my goodness, this was nuts.
I don't cook anymore, okay, because of my health issues. But Brian will sometimes be like, I really want a steak, and you'll go buy one and cook one up on the stove. And you said, I really want a steak. And I said, okay. And I said, let's see what it's at on the Publix app. And it was the sirloin that you normally get, which is a nice cut. It used to be, like I said, you could get it for like what bacon is now, okay? During Trump, like $12, $13.
For a nice steak.
It was $25 for one steak.
Forget it.
And you said, you know what? I might as well go to Smoky Bones.
A restaurant.
Or go to the Ale House and sit down and have a meal and have them cook it for me. It'll cost the same amount of money.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Now, yesterday on Labor Day, Kathy and it was our big laundry day here at the house. And I like to do all the laundry on one day. I don't know about you guys. I like to do it all on one day.
We had so much laundry.
Yeah, because we hadn't done it in a while.
Like 8 baths. It was scary.
There's just the two of us. I don't know where all the laundry's coming from, but we had a lot of it.
Blankets.
But I was washing the towels, and of course we have the MyPillow towels.
Yes.
And the 6-piece MyPillow towel set with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, is just $25. Free shipping on all orders over $75. And some of these MyPillow towels, I don't know how long we've had them. We've had them since the MyPillow towels were first made available. We ordered them immediately so I could talk about them. And I cannot tell the difference. When they come out of the dryer, I cannot tell the difference between our new MyPillow towels and the ones we got when they first were offered by MyPillow. Yeah. Everything Mike Lindell makes is high quality, and they're just that good. We got a new MyPillow pet bed for the kittens, right? And because we have the pet beds before, but we like to have one in every room because our pets are very spoiled. And the MyPillow pet beds are only $25 with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. And the pet beds, like the towels, you cannot tell the difference when they come out of the dryer, which is the new pet bed and which is the old one that's years old. No. Because everything Mike Lindell makes, whether it's the pet beds, the towels, the mattresses, the sheets, whatever it is, the pillows, they are very high quality. Another one, the MyPillow that started it all is just $19.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout.
That's incredible.
Well, the first thing we got was the MyPillow, right? And we paid $65 for it. This is before. For one.
Yeah.
And
it was worth it, but you can get a lot less now.
Yeah. And we wash our MyPillows too, because you can wash and dry the MyPillows as well. And I was trying to figure out which was the original MyPillow that we got compared to the new ones, and I can't figure it out.
No, you can't.
The first MyPillow, we must have gotten it close to 10 years ago.
I would not, if you put them all in a pile, I would not be able to pick that one out.
No, because
they all look the same.
They're all like new.
Yep.
They're all like new. And I know it's been about 10 years since we got the first one.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's just amazing. So the prices right now that he's offering are wholesale prices because Walmart and all these retailers, kicked him out for supporting Trump. So you're getting the wholesale Walmart buyer price is what you're getting, right, on all these MyPillow products. That's why there's so many great bargains. Free shipping on orders over $75 with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Huge savings as you're hearing right now with some of the products we've talked about. And remember, when you use our promo code Kane, Kane at checkout, you're supporting the podcast and all my content, the radio show, the YouTube channel, and everything. And it helps us out a lot. Mike Lindell's been a strong supporter of this program because you guys are supporting him through us with our promo code Kane. You saw him in
person. Is he tall? What does he look like in person? You saw him at Turning Point USA.
I'll tell you the crazy thing about when I met Mike Lindell at the Turning Point USA, and he was there with the Frank speech. They had a booth in Media Row, and Mike Lindell was setting up the booth himself. I couldn't believe it. This guy, here he is, a millionaire. He's one of the most famous men in America. And he's got people there that work for him, but he was setting everything. He was setting up not just the booth. When I went up to him to talk to him, he was setting up the Frank speech signs. I couldn't believe it all himself. He was unfolding it. It was and he was setting it up.
He trusts no one.
He's just
he either trusts nobody or he's just a humble guy or both.
He is rich and successful because he's a hardworking guy. I was in shock.
He seems like a guy.
He was wearing a suit and tie. He does have a lot of
energy, and he's just does it.
But you know what?
He's going to do it.
He was setting up the sign on the table for the booth where they were going to broadcast from, and I went up to him and I was talking to him, and then I looked back and there was a whole line of people waiting to meet him.
He's a big draw.
Yeah. So go to mypillow.com. Use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll take our last break and be back for our final segment. Don't go anywhere.
Step back in time to old New York City, where one kosher deli served up more than just great food. It dished out stories that span generations. From author Norman K. Nelson comes the heartwarming and humorous book, The Salami Cutters of Washington Heights, available on Amazon. Picture this, early 1900s New York City. Morris and Al, fresh off the boat from Russia, set up shop on the corner of 170th Street and Broadway in Washington Heights. They're armed with their big personalities, a boatload of relatives, and a dream. They knew one thing for sure. They were going to make it, no matter what. The Salami Cutters of Washington Heights is a collection of stories that takes you behind the counter of Nelson's Restaurant, the beloved kosher deli that became a neighborhood mainstay for over 70 years. These stories are packed with fun, laughter, secret family recipes, and colorful anecdotes about the people who made the place unforgettable. Family, friends, and staff, as well as the crazy New Yorkers who left their indelible mark. Don't miss out on these stories that have been shared around the Nelson family table for decades. The Salami Cutters of Washington Heights from author Norman K. Nelson is available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Take a bite out of history. Order your copy right now. Are you obsessed with the thought of what's next in your career path? Do you get terrified when you think about, what if they fire me? You're not alone, but there is help in the book, I Was Fired 7 Times, on Amazon. Go to Amazon right now and search I Was Fired 7 Times. That's I Was Fired 7 Times on Amazon, and get exceptional personal advice from someone who was fired 7 times. 7 chapters and 3 hours reading, and get out of that vicious cycle right now. I Was Fired 7 Times on Amazon, free for Kindle Unlimited readers. Also available in paperback and hardcover editions. I Was Fired 7 Times. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Transform your living space with stunning digital art from Mipsilon Premium Arts on Etsy. Whether you're looking for vintage charm or modern flair, they have the perfect piece to make your home or office lively all year long. At Mipsilon Premium Arts on Etsy, you'll find something for every season and every occasion. Summertime at the beach, Christmas, spring flowers, fall trees, pumpkins, cats, sailboats, beautiful sunflowers, and that's just the beginning. Everything is available for instant download. And right now, they're offering a 45% off special shop-wide. Start shopping right now. Visit MipsilonPremiumArts.etsy.com. That's MIPSILON. MipsilonPremiumArts.etsy.com. Bring your home or office to life with beautiful framed TV and wall art. MipsilonPremiumArts.etsy.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. So this interview that I played the clip of earlier at the beginning with Trump talking about releasing the Epstein files and list, he talked about Joe Rogan, whether he's going to go on the podcast and all of that. So let me play this. Let's talk about it a little bit.
What's the story behind the tension?
I don't think there was any tension. And I've always liked him, but I don't know him. I mean, I've only seen him when I walk into the arena with Dana and I shake his hand. I see him there, and I think he's good at what he does, but I don't know about doing his podcast. I mean, I guess I'd do it, but I haven't been asked, and I'm not asking them, you know? I'm not asking anybody.
You know, I think Joe Rogan's a coward.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Isn't he a coward?
Definitely. He's afraid to interview Trump.
Well, I think
he's afraid of it. I don't know why. Maybe his bosses, I don't get it.
You know, there's a couple possibilities, okay? Joe Rogan may like Donald Trump because I've seen him at these UFC matches and he's always grinning ear to ear and he seems to like him. And he's afraid it'll alienate him with a lot of the celebrities he has on. Or he secretly hates him and only pretends to like him because he thinks a lot of his audience wants him to like him. I don't know which it is. It could be either one, honestly. But I think he's a coward. He should have the guy on and talk to him. I mean, his whole, Joe Rogan, it's really amazing.
It's very bizarre.
His success is really amazing because when he did Fear Factor, he was kind of like a washed-up B actor. He had a supporting role on one of those sitcoms.
I don't think he's funny at all. I know he was a comedian. No. He was on news radio. I never thought he was funny or talented. I don't like him personally. I think he's a lot of hype, and he's just gotten lucky. But a lot of people like him. I've listened to bits and pieces of his show. I find it boring.
I like some of his interviews.
Not into him at all.
I don't listen to his show unless I'll see like on my YouTube recommendations, he'll interview someone that I'm interested in. So I'll watch that because I'm interested in the guest.
He's afraid to have convictions is his problem. It's just like Tim Pool. Yeah. They're afraid to say what they really feel and stick to it and put their feet to the fire. And that's what it's all about because they're trying to walk that tightrope and please everybody. And you just can't do that. You just have to have the balls to say what you think and, deal with the fallout of whatever it is, but have conviction. And I mean, nobody's got more conviction than you when it comes to Trump. That's for sure. I mean, you're unapologetic. And anybody who calls you on the radio and says you're fake MAGA just cracks me up. I don't know anybody that loves Trump as much. I think you love him more than his own kids.
Yeah, maybe.
But
I don't know.
But you have a lot of conviction. And you don't shy away from it. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But you'll admit it. But these guys are just. It's crazy. He's doing interviews with lots of people. He did one with Dr. Phil, that Theo Vaughn. He did one with that gamer. Aiden Ross, of course he would go on, but I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't do it now. He said he wasn't sure. Maybe if Joe Rogan asked him, I don't think he ever will.
And I'm really, Joe Rogan, he talks about, like, there's this book that I got because I heard Candace Owens talking about a few months ago, Chaos, about the CIA program with LSD and everything and Manson. And I started reading it, and
I remember.
And I stopped reading it. Because it's so scary what the government's doing, and I might go back to reading it because I was cleaning up my books where I keep all my books, and I came across it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll finish reading this book. I don't know, but anyway, I heard him talk about that book. So Joe Rogan is very into the evils of the deep state and the military-industrial complex.
Has he interviewed RFK Jr.?
I want to say yes. I can't swear to that, but I think he has. Yeah, I think he did.
So what do you think it is? Tell us what you guys think. Why has he not interviewed Trump?
I think because he's a coward. He doesn't want to take a position on Trump, right?
I think he doesn't want to look friendly to Trump.
Because
I think he likes him.
He sucks up to him at all the UFC matches.
And he's afraid. I don't know what it is. Or his bosses won't let him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's making him irrelevant in politics. And I know he wants to be relevant. But, I mean, Trump did a thing with Elon Musk and that was huge.
Yeah.
But Joe Rogan, maybe he just is trying to drift back more into celebrity interviews, which I find tedious and boring.
I don't know, but I think it's cowardly of him. He should interview Trump. And, he may tell himself now, like, to get out of, well, so many people have interviewed him. Why should I now, right? But he could have interviewed him a long time ago. He could have had one of the first big interviews with him. And, I mean, he did, when I say cowardly, I mean, that's saying a lot because when I first really started to notice, I mean, I watched Fear Factor, okay? I liked Fear Factor in the beginning. And then I did know of his show. But when I first really started paying attention to Rogan at all was when I first started paying attention to Tim Pool. Tim Pool was a guest on Joe Rogan's podcast. This was a few years ago. And I know a lot of you have seen this because it was a very famous thing. He was there with Jack Dorsey. It was Joe Rogan had Tim Pool in studio with Jack Dorsey, and then the woman who Elon fired, I've forgotten her name, but she was the one that was the attorney that really ran Twitter and had everybody banned and shadow banned and throttled down and all that stuff. And Tim Pool was really confrontational with her and Dorsey. It was amazing. And Joe Rogan had Tim Pool's back during the whole interview. And I thought, wow, this is a real kick butt show. And I was like really blown away by it. And Tim Pool's kind of generic too after that, but that was amazing. And it took a lot of guts, I thought, for Rogan and Tim Pool to do that because at the time, Jack Dorsey and that woman whose name I can't remember, you guys will remember her name. I could probably look it up. It's not important, but they were very powerful people at Twitter. This was at the height of that liberal reign of Twitter, when they were shadow banning everybody. Yeah. And it was incredible. And
it's so different now. Well, it's just so different now.
Joe Rogan's reach is so big. He has, now again, Tucker Carlson's number one podcast, number one listened to on Spotify now, which we were talking about that a couple weeks ago, right? So, I didn't even know we had a podcast, Tucker. It's number one. But more listened to it than Rogan's. But Joe Rogan, between all of his platforms that he's on, he has more people listening to him each week than anyone else. In fact, he has an audience that is equal to the size that Rush Limbaugh and Howard Stern had combined at the peak of their national celebrity. Think about that, right? Remember how big that those two guys were at the peak. He has that every week. And I think he should interview Trump. I think it would be important. Now, there's some new polls out in the battlegrounds. Listen to this. This just dropped, okay? These are the latest election models for the Electoral College and the battlegrounds.
I'm watching. I see this too, yes.
The Electoral College, they're giving it to Trump 291 to Kamala's 247.
I don't think she'll do that well.
The battleground state win probability, Trump has gone up by 20 points. It's 60-40 Trump.
Wow.
Now that's amazing. And I think there's going to be a lot of surprises because on election night, and I'm expecting. I always go to bed early because I got to get up early, right, to do the show in the morning. So I'm hoping that I can get up and do a live stream on YouTube before I go to the radio show, like at 3 a.m, and it's already settled. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises in the Eastern time zone because the Eastern time zone. There's a lot of the battleground states are in the Eastern time zone, like Pennsylvania in particular, okay? And we very well could get that. There's no reason we shouldn't have all the results on election night.
I agree.
There's no reason. We used to get them on election night.
Yeah.
Well, the first time we didn't, I remember.
I always stay up and it's a nail biter.
I remember in 2000 with the Bush and Gore, I went to bed and I woke up. And you were up, and I said, "Who won?" And you said, "We don't know yet." I was like, "How could we not know?"
The best was 2016.
Oh, yeah.
And you fell asleep.
Always do. Early.
And I stayed up. I did a live stream on Periscope.
Yeah.
Until like 4 o'clock in the morning.
I woke up and you were still on.
Yeah.
Live.
And that was amazing. And there were a lot of people in there. And I just watched the news, and Trump kept. Hillary had like a little momentum because they did the Northeast, area, all those little tiny colonies. So Bill Clinton was jumping up and down, remember, backstage, all excited.
Yeah.
And then they started bringing the Carolinas, Georgia, and it was Trump, Florida. And then you could see they had that whole room of people. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh. I knew Trump was going to win, but it was exciting. And you could see the whole room of people. They went from euphoria to like complete devastation in the matter of like 20 minutes.
That's right.
And they showed these people, and then they started crying. And then it was amazing. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't wait for you to get up because I was like, this is great. And they declared Trump the winner, and Hillary conceded very quickly.
Well, she sent the guy out. She didn't.
Well, no. When he gave his acceptance speech, he said Hillary just called me in the limo, and conceded.
Yeah,
and I was surprised she did that so quickly. And he came out, and she had this whole room of people. They even had like a mock glass ceiling or something. They were going to do this huge dramatic thing, and there were thousands of people in this room waiting for her for hours. And she didn't have the guts to show up. And I just thought that was the worst thing. And it showed you that and I was like, she's completely coming out. She's probably crying. And it's probably the only time Hillary Clinton has ever cried in her life. And she was probably backstage bawling her eyes out. And Podesta had to come out and say, oh, thanks for everything. And we'll see you later. I just couldn't believe it. But she couldn't face those people and come out and thank them. That has got to be one of the hardest things to do as a candidate, is to come out and admit you lost. But that's part of it. And you have to come out and thank the people that worked so hard to help you and have the grace and the dignity. But we all know she doesn't have those things.
When Bill Clinton was governor, he had a loss. I can't remember if it was when he was governor or AG, but of Arkansas. But he was in office, he lost, came back next time and won again. He had 2 non-consecutive terms. He was a winner, Bill Clinton, even though he was a scumbag. Hillary Clinton was just a user and abuser of people, and she made a deal with the devil, and in the end she lost. Now, those of you that are Patreon supporters, thank you for your support. Oh, by the way, a lot of our Patreon supporters go on the cruise every year. I don't know if you guys know that or if I've mentioned that before, and it's nice to get to hang out with you guys. We have a great time. But our Patreon supporters, thank you so much for your support. And if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. And remember, all Patreon supporters have access to commercial-free editions of all of the podcast episodes. Our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you on every single episode of the podcast. So these names I'm going to read off now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, LeeZep, Shawna, Constance, George, Brandon, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, Christy R., John S., Heather, David, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, Maria in Texas, Paulette, John, Carlos, Mike P., Macho, Wesley, Nick, and Rick. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all for your support. And again, if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this and every episode. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.